I became a little angry. They called me Pissed Pete for a while. I was pretty angry, dude. I mean, I got in fights. It was a dark time. And one of the district managers came in and was like, Pete, hey, you have a promising career in the bank here, but you can't coming in like you just went to Fight Club. People are not going to take your advice if you're coming in with all beat up on your face.
The story begins with a family of refugees who escaped a deadly regime starting over in America. But growing up, Pete never quite felt like he fit in, and shame turned to anger, which took him down a dark path. Then he and his wife bought the shop from his parents, and a kid behind the counter became a father behind the counter. And now the market is more than just the products it stocks. It's memory, identity, and a promise to the next generation. Every dollar kept local, every face a neighbor.
I didn't want to be Asian. Like, I wore blue contacts. I wanted to fit in. I bleached my hair. Like, I wanted to be part of, I wanted to be white, like, like all my other friends. I didn't want to be Asian. Now my kids are very proud that they're
All right, Pete, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Alec.
Hey, so how are you feeling today, man?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Feeling great. I got class done this morning. Went to Sunny's class on Foothill.
Okay.
So got my rolls in. Got my work done early in the morning before class,
Nice.
and then ran home, showered, and got here. And I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say if somebody just met you and you were to describe to them what you do?
Sure.
What would you
I
say?
so for professionally, I'm a financial advisor for Prudential. I work for home. I've been in the finance for about 15 years. I work for all the big corporations, Wells Fargo's private bank, JP Morgan. And then I switched over about 4 to 5 years ago to work at home for Prudential. So professionally, I'm a financial advisor, and we also own the SLO Asian Market in town. My wife runs that. I kind of just do the stock and the books and stuff. So those are my professional careers. So financial advisor and business owner.
Yeah.
And personal life, father of two. I have a 13 and 8-year-old boy and a girl,
Awesome.
and also jujitsu, part of the Paragon family.
All right.
How I met you, and a lot
Yeah.
of my closest friends now are the Paragoons, we call it. But I would say that and starting to surf. So when Brad is teaching me how to surf, so it's been awesome. So
Right on, man. How's that going?
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like jujitsu. It's addicting. So I love it. I love the challenge. I've always been a beach person, so I've always loved the beach, the water. But having Brad and Jeremy teach me how to surf has been awesome. It's been really fun.
Are your kids going out with you too?
They're
Yeah.
learning too. So
Cool.
we're all doing it kind of as a family event. They call Brad and Jeremy Uncle Brad and Uncle Germ now
Yeah.
because they just become so close and they're such good guys. And yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a good family bonding event.
Cool. That's cool, man. Do you have any other hobbies? Anything else you do outside of that?
No, that's pretty much it. I say the kids and just jujitsu and now beach surf is pretty much what we do, and just work. The store takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the free time doing backstock and things of that nature.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's about it.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about the store.
Yeah,
Tell me how you kind of fell into it,
yeah.
and then we'll go from there.
So we actually bought it for my parents about 5 years ago. My parents started it actually 35 years ago. My parents are I'm first generation. They immigrated over here from Cambodia back in 1981. And they escaped the Khmer Rouge, which was a communist party that basically came over and took over Cambodia, and they had like a militant army, and they put a lot of the people into concentration work camps,
Okay.
hard labor. My grandfather was actually knew the general of the army for Cambodia, and he came over and told my grandfather and dad and family, hey, you guys got to get out as soon as possible. They're gonna come like tomorrow. They're coming all with guns, and they're gonna take over pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So they had to pack up and leave in the middle of the night, and they actually escaped to Thailand, marching 200 miles only at night, to basically have a better life and become free.
Oh,
So my mom, my dad, my sister, I had another sister that I found out that she passed a lot on the way. My grandma, my uncle, all were part of a little group, and they made it to Thailand, and then they were let in by the United States, and they immigrated to Michigan. I was born actually in Michigan. My dad went to work in the factories. My mom cleaned houses, and we were adopted by a church, to kind of help us, get us on our feet and whatnot. Um, and back then, the Cambodian refugees were a tight knit group because they came from so much. So whoever did get to escape were lucky enough to come to the United States and build a life. My brother-in-law was actually stuck in a camp, and he won't talk too much about it, but he was actually in one of those camps and was forced into hard labor.
wow.
Um, when I was born in the United States, that my parents were able to find hardworking jobs, and they were able to talk to other refugees, and a lot of Cambodians started donut shops, believe it or not.
Okay.
So a lot of donut shops are started by a lot of the Cambodians.
Is Are donuts something Cambodians do well?
Don't know how it kind of happened, but my dad had a friend that came to him and was like, "Hey, a way to kind of make a living for yourselves is go find a donut shop and learn the business."
Yeah.
And so they actually went to New York. We moved to Pennsylvania for a year, then we moved to LA. They started working in LA and they didn't like LA, so they moved up to Morro Bay and they took over Dolly's Donuts in Morro Bay for a year. And then my dad was driving down San Luis and he saw um, San Luis Sunshine Donuts back on Monterey, and Santa Rosa was up for sale. So they put in a bid and they actually bought that.
Okay.
They did a donut shop for 15, 20 years. And then one day, one of the usual workers or one of their clients, customers came in and says, "Hey," he worked for the county, said, "They're gonna probably kick you guys out and they're gonna build a government building here." And they said, "Oh, well, this is our only source of living." So that's when they started the Asian market. So they created the Asian market because they knew that the donut shop was going to close down. So they
Okay.
started the Asian market 30 years ago, started on Foothill, actually, where the Rite Aid is, and it was right down the hall from Slow Kickboxing, where Chuck Liddell used to train.
Okay.
So I remember watching Chuck Liddell as a little boy, this guy with a mohawk and a tattoo. He looked super intimidating. And I would go watch these guys just beat the crap out of each other in the room. And I was amazed, but yet a little, terrified because these guys are, they were just literally going at it in the room.
Yeah.
And they had a little glass window you could kind of just step outside and just watch them. And we were there for a couple years, and then we moved to our current spot on Monterey and Johnson, and have been there for about thirty years now.
Wow.
So
Okay.
long story, but yeah,
Yeah. No,
that's how
there's a
kind of we
ton.
got involved into the Asian market, and then we
Yeah.
we took it over about 5 years ago.
Okay. You and your wife.
Yeah, she runs it. I just work from home. She's there 6 days a week. She's the boss.
Okay.
I just listen to
Yeah.
her.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's go back real quick to so when your parents were migrating from Cambodia and they brought some of your family members with them. You were born in Michigan.
Yep.
You said you had another sister and she passed away. Was that something your parents like how did that happen? What's the story there?
So she got really sick.
Okay.
And they didn't have medicine. My mom doesn't even really like to talk too much about it, to tell you the truth. I found out more about my history and past when my wife actually started asking my mom about it. She started digging a little bit deeper. So thankful for my wife. I actually found out a lot more about my history. Um, my mom just never really talked about it because I think it kind of hurt her,
Yeah.
but they didn't have medicine on the journey over, and she was, I think, 2 years old or younger, and she just couldn't make. She got sick, and she just didn't make it. I guess my sister right now, she doesn't even like talking about the past either. But she got sick as well. But she luckily she was the older sister, so she made it
Oh, wow.
luckily through the journey.
How much older was she? She
I believe for me, she's 9 years. So I
okay.
believe she was like the sister that passed was in between us. So she was probably 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's got to be rough.
so my they don't talk too much about it. I think it's just kind of hurtful for them.
Mm,
But it's I try to understand it a little bit more as I grow up so I can explain it to my kids. And as a young kid, you don't really think about too much of it and you don't really think about your family history. But as you get older, I think you start realizing how important it is, especially passing on to the next generation.
yeah, definitely. Do you think like your older sister, does she remember anything from that time that she
Not
shared with
sure.
you?
I never really asked her about it too much. I mean, we're close, but we don't have the tightest relationship because we're 9 years apart.
Yeah.
So by the time, she was in high school, I was a young kid. She was in college. I was in, not even junior high yet. So we're in such far stages in our life. We still talk now as I think as we're getting older and we have kids, a family, we've gotten closer now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I never asked her. We never really talked too much. By the time I remember junior high, high school, she was already gone out of the house. She was in college. She went up to Berkeley and stayed up in the Bay Area and then moved back down here. So she
Mm,
lives in SLO now, which is nice because all the nieces and nephews and all the families here. So it makes it really nice.
cool, man. Did you so growing up, you started in Michigan and then you kind of moved around. You said New York, right?
So dad looked at New York, didn't want to move there actually, but we moved to Pennsylvania for a year.
Okay.
And lived in Pennsylvania for a year. Then we moved to LA. In LA for a few years actually, and we were pretty poor back then. We lived, I think it was me, our family. So we had four of us, my grandma, my uncle, then he got married. So there's seven of us in I think a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment back then.
Wow.
And then we lived there for a few years and they saved up and then we moved up to Morro Bay when I was in second grade. And then I went to Seal Smith in third grade in SLO and then kind of went through Seal Smith to Laguna Junior High to SLO High and graduated in 99 and then went down to Santa Barbara.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what were you doing down there?
Went to school,
Okay.
met my wife, I worked. We had our first kid down there. I actually stayed in Santa Barbara for 15 years. Um, Met my wife in the mall. I worked at Foot Locker and she worked at Bed Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
And we just met and started dating and we've been married now for almost 14 years. Together for 19 years.
Okay.
So we've been, yeah, definitely grown together. Santa Barbara, I love it down there. It has a special place in my heart. Yeah, but we moved back to raise the family.
Okay.
So I wanted to move back because I love SLO. I grew up here. My family was here, and I feel like the kids grew up a little bit slower here compared to Santa Barbara and
Yeah.
the big cities. Um, Wife hated it at first, to tell you the truth. She's from Ontario, California, so down south. She moved to Santa Barbara. It was even a little bit smaller for her,
Yeah.
and then I moved her up to SLO. And she was like, "This place is small. Like, what's going on?" Then a year later, she's like, "This is the best place. I would never move. I love it here."
Yeah.
So yeah, we love it.
That's
Slow is the
awesome.
best place.
Yeah. What so you said a little bit about like growing up in the is it Cambodian community or is it just Asian community as a whole?
So it was in LA, it was a lot of Asian community. We live right outside of Chinatown.
Okay.
And I actually went to like a half English, half Chinese school. So I was learning Mandarin and
Wow.
Mandarin, not Cantonese, and English at the same time. So it was very Asian oriented. Once I moved out and came up to the Central Coast, it was a lot less. I mean, the Asian population is definitely growing in the last few years, but it was pretty small. I remember only a few Asian kids in high school.
Yeah.
Even in elementary school, I think there was only a couple Asian kids.
Yeah.
But it's definitely growing now, which is exciting to see.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Have you seen like Kim's Convenience?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
It's
hilarious.
it's like it's funny to me. I'd be interested to get your take on it because it's kind of like they run a market.
Yep,
They're in the Asian
yep,
community.
yep.
Um, you know, are there similarities between some of those things in your experience?
100%, 100%. Dealing with the general public, my wife could probably tell you a million stories. And we get everything from the beautiful community where you become friends with people and you see them all the time and you get to know their kids and their families and you really become a community. And then you get the other part where we had a homeless person that was using our front door as a bathroom for 8 months.
Yeah.
So my wife would have to come and literally clean up shit on the
Yeah.
front door because somebody decided to take a shit in front of the front door all the time.
Yeah.
We had a lady pee in the store, so
Yeah.
people yell at her for, all kinds of things. So it's definitely you get the range, but for it's more better than worse. So you get a lot of the good,
Yeah.
a lot more good than bad.
When you were growing up, uh, because your parents kind of shifted their businesses, but you kind of grew up around the store, right?
Yeah.
So your parents were managing it, and then you were you working at the store when you were younger too?
Yeah, they paid me. They say, "Hey," they just wanna teach me work ethic, I think, back then. So they would say, "Hey, come work, the store or the donut shop." I worked the donut shop a lot. I would actually hook up all my friends. I'd be like, "Hey, just come in, I'll give you guys all free donuts."
Yeah.
But yeah, they wanted to instill the work ethic in me. And I played basketball growing up, so I was always just wanted to hang out with my friends and go play sports and not really wanna work. But I think that them making me has instilled a hardworking mentality.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's a stereotype within the Asian community that you have these parents, especially like when you're first generation immigrants, that they it feels like a lot of them start their own businesses. Like they're either doing a restaurant or a shop or something like that, which is already tough, right? Like most small businesses fail. So then they are so dead set on having their children be very successful in some field where they know they're going to be financially secure.
Yes.
So it is a stereotype within the Asian community with some of my friends that I've heard stories about, right? But
Oh yeah.
it seems to hold true because at least from what I've heard, a lot of the parents like they like you said want to instill that sense of hard work, stability, all of those things. Family seems to be a really big thing. You said you lived with a lot of your family members in a small place at once, right?
Yep.
So I think that experience is very unique, the Asian American experience
Yes.
growing up.
Yes.
And especially, I mean, it seems like a lot more of them than not growing up in their family stores, helping out. Um, this is another interesting thing, but have you seen the movie Elemental, the Disney movie?
I have not.
Really?
No, I have not.
It's basically um they're all the you would call them creatures, but the people of this city are different elements, so like water, fire,
Oh,
and they
okay.
all are immigrants that come into this kind of central place like a San
Yeah,
Francisco.
like a melting pot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they all have their own businesses, right? That they're starting in
Interesting.
different parts of town, like a
Yeah.
Chinatown and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, and the guy who actually produced and directed it is a Korean immigrant who grew up in working in his parents' store, right?
Yep.
And he did an excellent job with this movie, like making you feel some of the things that he experienced growing up. Um,
Interesting.
I think those types of movies are really good at creating empathy within people that didn't share the same experience, right?
Yes.
So I think that would be, it's hard for I think your typical American kid, right? That they either are multi-generational immigrants, right? Like my family are third, fourth generation Italian in
Yeah.
some parts.
Yeah.
But I'm more removed from that, than you are.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Even my kids, I feel like my kids have a completely different upbringing
yeah,
than what I went through,
for sure.
which is good. We always strive to, we want the best life for our kids, and we want,
Yeah,
so. But yes, we always tell them how lucky and blessed they are to
yeah,
in the situation in life they have.
yeah. Do you struggle with the balance between trying to instill a little bit of the Asian heritage type of things and along with wanting them to have that, real American experience?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we still raise them pretty old fashioned, like hard work, grade schools. We still expect A's and B's. Like we know we give her a little leeway. We're not expecting all A's because that's how a lot of tiger moms are. But we tell her there's situations where she had like a wood class, and we're like, she's okay. You're not good at wood. If she got a B in wood. We're not gonna get angry because you got a B in wood and you got a A in math, science, English. So there are some gives and takes.
Yeah.
But we are trying to instill the hard work ethic, and of course, school is important. So there are certain things that we want to still, but I don't know, but me and my wife, we got beat as a kid. Like we got whooped. I got whooped with an extension cord. I got whooped, and I've never laid a hand on my kids. Um, I even threatened to call the police on my mom one time, and she handed me the phone. It was like, call the police. I was like,
Yeah.
just start crying again because what could you do as a little kid, right?
Yeah.
So I tell my kids, you guys are lucky. The way you just responded to me, yeah, I'm gonna maybe yell at you or be upset, but grandma, she whipped me with a bamboo stick. Like, you guys don't realize you guys got it a
Yeah.
little bit easier than we do.
Yeah.
But that also probably adds to some of the anxiety we have as an adult also. So so, a little old school, but a little bit new school, I'd say.
Yeah. For sure. How did you, like, when you were growing up, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I always just wanted to work in a corner office. Like I
Yeah.
just told my dad, I want to be the guy in the corner office. Like I want to have that big office. So in the bank, I worked myself up. I was a personal banker and I worked up, got licensed and then worked up to private banking and then became a financial advisor. And I actually called my dad into the office. And one day when I was at JP Morgan, I was like, "Hey, Dad, I made it. This is what I actually," and he like looked around. And he's like, "You actually did? Like, this is what you always talked about." And I said, "Dad, this is it. Like, this is." So it was no career in particular. I think it was just I wanted to be a working professional. Um, and just have an office. Just, kind of work myself up to be able to be at the top and to to have a corner office, I guess.
Yeah. So, what would you say were some of the challenges that you faced kind of growing up as a young kid?
Growing up in San Luis, I was one of the few Asian kids. I played sports, so I definitely had to develop thick skin. Um, heard every name under the blue moon. I've heard racial slurs. I've heard everything. Um, I have kind of a quick temper, so I kind of learned how to fight or say something back. So I'd always, somebody says something, I'd usually say something back. College years, I started fighting a little bit more. I kind of went through that angry phase. Kind of distant myself from my parents. Started hanging out with kind of not the right friends. And I became a little angry. They called me Pissed Pete for a while. Uh, we go downtown, we get in fights with people and fights downtown at the bars and just it was definitely a darker time in my life. I was actually doing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu back then, and I was taking some boxing lessons also. So I'd go, and I just started my finance career at the bank, and I remember one day I walked in, and I was like split lip, black eye, like completely beat up, and one of the district managers came in and was like, "Pete, hey, you have a promising career in the bank here, but I don't care what you do in your off time, but you can't coming in like you just went to Fight Club. Like you're in a professional environment, and people are not going to take you seriously or not going to take your advice if you're coming in with black eyes and split lips and all beat up on your face." So I had to make a kind of a career change or kind of not a lifestyle change, I would say at that point. And I, stopped boxing and I kind of focused on my career at that point and started kind of growing up, I would say, and started working a little bit more and got out of the darker phase of my life. And I met my wife, towards the end of that. She made me call my parents who I stopped talking to because I was just going through a rough patch and I was just it was a dark time. I was really angry in life.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I met my wife and then the friends that kind of pulled me out of it.
What would you say pulled you out of it?
My wife number one, she really got me back to just feeling like positive again, not being so angry all the time. Like call your mom. I'm like, okay. I'm calling. I was like, thank you. My mom would be like, thank you, Fanny. Thank you for having him call me. I haven't talked to him in 6 months.
Yeah.
And back, and growing up, we were a pretty tight family. Like my parents worked all the time, but we're still pretty tight. Um, her and I would say, the district manager, even though he was kind of an asshole, he did provide me a pathway for a promising career. So I started with as a regular banker. I got hired as just the lowest position banker. And when they hired you, they had a chart of all the different levels you could work up to. And I said, okay, my goal is to get to here is to private banking. And I'm going to work myself all the way up there. And as hard as the district manager, and he was kind of an asshole, like I said, he still provided that pathway for me. And he did help me change my career. He was the one who said, "Hey, if you want to take this, seriously, you got to change your extracurricular activities a little bit."
Yeah.
And when I did listen to him, he would actually take care of me and promote me and bring me to the bigger branches. So we always kind of talk down on managers and kind of, I've always had a little thing with authority as well. I've kind of just, I don't know, I've just never challenged authority always. Um, and I think that he really helped my career and he really, put me in the position where I am today. And I'm grateful for him. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for him.
Wow. Were there other people in your life that kind of helped to push you along too?
Lots,
Yeah.
lots. Best friend, he moved to Idaho. He was the guy that kind of just helped that young, angry kid start turning him into a man. Like he gave me dad advice. He gave me career advice. He gave me life advice. It was my best friend. He was the same age as me. Um, his name is Will. But he was very seasoned. He went through a tough childhood. Um, his parents were, he didn't have a dad. His mom was a drug addict. He got out of all that. He turned his life around. He was basically one of my biggest mentors in life. He got me, he told me to become a manager. I was just a worker at Foot Locker, and he was like, "Hey, you should probably look into management. Just it's good for your resume." And that actually helped on my resume for my finance career. So there's little things when I first became a dad, he was already a dad and his kids were a little bit older. So I called him and just say, "Hey, I have some questions, dude."
Yeah.
And he's always been there. So he's been one guy I still reach out to, we still talk to, not so often, it's one every 6 months or so, but we still connect. And yeah, he's one guy that I've just been like, he doesn't even probably know it, but he's had a huge, huge impact in my life.
Yeah,
And I'm grateful, extremely grateful.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about off camera a little bit, is that there's a lot of people out there that probably don't know that they changed the trajectory of our lives. Um, and maybe, I don't know if the world would be a better place if people told those people more often, but it's hard because a lot of the time I feel like we don't understand until years later that, or like with the manager that you had, that that was good for you, right?
I hated him.
That
Tell you
you,
the truth, I hated him. Like
yeah,
I was like, Mike was his name. I was like, oh, fucking Mike. Like, oh god, this guy's a
yeah,
dick. Like, why is he riding me so hard? But he was just pushing, pushing.
right. Yeah, it's funny because there's, if you ever watch motivational sports movies, sometimes there's like a coach in those movies that the whole team just hates their guts, and then the team ends up winning the championship or something, but they needed that coach to kind of all hate collectively and push them hard.
Yeah,
And sometimes we kind of need those people in our lives too, I think.
I think we
And
all do.
yeah, it's hard to see at the time that
Yes,
they're helping you.
yes.
You want to you want to push back and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
We think we know everything, right? But as we get older, we learn that we really don't know
Yeah,
very much in this big scheme of things.
yeah, that's one thing I've learned as I've gotten older, is at each point of my life I think I have it figured out, and then I go and I remember the things that I said back then, or what I thought about the world and how much that's changed, you know?
Yes, yes. Having kids, life events, growing, maturing.
Yeah,
I flip out on my kids sometimes. I yell at them, then I go back and I have to apologize and I say, "Hey, we're both growing here. We're both maturing."
yeah,
There's no like Brad said, there's no manual to being a dad. We're all learning together.
yeah,
So it's neat though. It's the fun and joy journey of life, right? The experience.
for sure. And realizing when you're growing up that you are reaching the age that your parents once were when they raised you, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have kids, but I've reached some of those points in life where I've been
true.
humbled by, oh, my parents were this age and I was this age, and they were struggling to deal with more than I'm dealing with now.
Yes.
And you have a little bit more empathy, you have a little bit more realization that everybody's human and they're all learning.
Appreciation too.
Yeah,
Appreciation for everybody. I mean, we all are going through things in life and we all are going to have different views, but that's what's great is we can all still be friends and still love each other. And I think that Paragon, the community itself right there. There's so many different political life, you name it, all different views. But at the end of we all love and hug each other and care for each other and we're all there to get better and I think that's a perfect example of just the melting pot right there. It's
yeah,
just, who cares about what we all believe and it's okay to believe different things as long as we respect each other.
right. Yeah, you talk a lot about supporting local businesses. I think Paragon's a good example of that too, because we're all learning things about each other every day. Um, and I'd be interested to hear your take on things that you've learned just from, I mean, both sides, right? The financial advising side. Maybe you have some life advice for people that you want to share, and then on the store side, running things. I'm sure there's people out there that would love to hear some stories about some of the challenges that you've faced trying to run the store. Even running a business with your wife has got to be challenging at times. So let's back it up a little bit
Yeah.
and go there. What advice do you have to drop on us?
This the store is running a business a lot of work. It's absolutely amazing. You get what you put into it. So you have to put in the effort. It's definitely humbled us. She works 6 days a week, and she probably works 80 hours a week. She works at home. She's constantly, constantly working. Um, we it's It's a lot. It's very, very hard. But we enjoy it. The aspect of the community. She's met some really good people, and now we kind of feel like we contribute to San Luis Obispo because we bring kind of like this Asian culture into town now, and we're pretty proud that we've grown it. We were talking about our social media. My wife runs the social media, and we started with 25 followers, which all family and friends. And now she's grown it over the last few years, and she has now 10,000 followers on there. And it's hard to believe that there's actually 10,000 people that would be interested in the store.
Yeah.
And it's amazing for us. So we're grateful for the community, I would say. Um, and there's so many people that have helped us. Local businesses. Sorry, I kind of got off topic there. Supporting local business is really big for us, because we understand what it's like to be a local business, and having the money that you guys spend in the store goes to paying for our surf board and our kids' baseball lessons, and that paying for our kids' schools, and it's going into our family. It's not going to, another CEO or anybody else. We're actually putting money into our town, into local families. So that's why we believe in supporting local. We love farmers market. We try to go once a week to the local farmers market to get all our fruits and vegetables. We get everything. We get our honey from Gabe. So we definitely try to support local, and we feel like it is important, especially in a small town like this, because it is easy to order online, and
Yeah.
to go get your stuff online, have it delivered to your door. But it's better to go to, CCS to go buy your surfboard or buy your fins from them, or buy your wetsuit, because you are supporting a local business, and we do need it. Every dollar counts for local businesses. Um, my wife appreciates. She says hello and goodbye to almost everybody that walks in the store. She can, so she makes it an effort to appreciate the people that are choosing to shop in our store.
Yeah.
So we do feel like, supporting the locals. And even when we go to Hawaii, like let's say, we try to support every local business. We go to the food trucks. A couple years ago, there was a lot of people on the side of the road selling coconuts from the Lahaina fires. And we actually stopped at every single one and bought coconuts off the road. We bought banana bread. We were just trying to buy anything that was to kind of give back to the local community. We
Yeah.
we just feel like it's important wherever you are. It's always good to give back to the locals.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because I feel like there are people that they don't put it together in their head that the prices are higher for these things because there are people behind them, right, at this store that are pouring their heart into this thing. And yes, it would be cheaper and quicker for you to go and get something from Walmart or another store, but
Amazon.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
essentially, I mean, do what you can, right? Everybody has different means to be able to support their community, but you're essentially degrading your community when you make choices that don't support it, right? Because if you do have the means and you think about it holistically, exactly what you said, you're investing in people, in the culture, in the town. You're building relationships with people. You're making your town as a whole or your community as a whole better in some capacity. So that's what you're essentially paying for, right?
Yeah.
And you're missing all of that when I mean, I'm guilty of shopping on Amazon. I'm guilty of
We all do.
so
So I buy stuff from Amazon too, but
yeah,
we try to go to support local as much as we can. I mean,
yeah,
it, it is true. It does it does matter though. And I do me and my wife talk numbers every day, like literally every single day.
yeah,
And you're all right. Sometimes we are going to be a little bit more expensive or higher price than, online or Amazon or whatnot. Um, and yeah, there's, that's because, like you said, we have overhead, like rent, we have delivery. being in San Luis Obispo, we sometimes used to get, "Oh, your guys' prices are high," or, and say, "Yeah, but we have to get delivery and they charge us for delivery." Or
Yeah.
I drive down to LA and that's a lot of gas going in a cargo van driving back and forth from LA. And when I leave, I go at 4 o'clock in the morning and come back the same day. So people don't realize there's a lot that comes into to getting this stuff to San Luis compared to where LA or bigger cities where it's a lot more accessible because there's
Yeah.
just large quantities and they're able to buy a lot more. I tell people we'll buy like a box, you know. Trader Joe's or they buy a pallet. We'll buy a box off the pallet.
Yeah.
So they'll probably get it a little bit cheaper than we would also because of the quantity that they're buying as well.
How do you guys decide what to stock in the store? Are you doing the logistics and the math behind the
Yeah,
scenes? Yeah.
so definitely we've grown the inventory and product over the last 5 years since my wife and I have taken over. Mostly everything's curated, to tell you the truth. My wife picks out 99% of the store, and I pick out about 1%. I do about, the alcohol, some of the drinks, but she does everything else, all the ordering. She curates it hand by hand. And some of it's from customer recommendations, like customer will come in and say, "Oh, I was in Japan and I saw this. So could you guys get it?" We'll say, "Yeah, sure. We'll try to get it for you." And then if it starts actually selling and other people like it, then we'll just start carrying it.
Yeah.
So over the years, it's just kind of compounded from that. And it's also from us where we like to eat. So we would buy stuff that like kind of the trendier snacks and drinks that my mom and dad were more a little bit more staples, the sauces, the rice, the noodles. We like, as younger generations, we like the trendier stuff, like some of the chips and snacks and some stuff that they normally wouldn't carry and drinks that they wouldn't carry. But we'd get it when we went to LA or went to the supermarkets. So it's just been all slowly curated by mostly her and then some customer recommendations also.
Okay. Do you have your favorite product that you guys have at the store?
There's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
we eat quite a bit. Last night we ate Chinese sausage.
Okay.
They call it lap chong.
Yeah.
And we eat that, once every couple weeks. We eat ramen. We eat
Yeah.
a lot of Asian food, but my wife actually went to culinary school. So she does a lot of just cooking in general. She'll make chicken Alfredo from scratch. So she makes all the pasta and everything. That's one of my son's favorite dishes.
Yeah.
But we eat ramen also. We'll grab ramen from the store and we'll bring all the noodles and the meat from the store and make it at home, Korean barbecue. So yeah, we eat a lot from the store, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of favorites, but it's just kind of across the board because we eat a lot, but it kind of just rotates.
Yeah. I was asking you this earlier, but do you have like a smell or something from your childhood that your family made a certain meal or something that really brings you back?
There's a crab dish that my mom won't tell. She shared every single recipe with my wife, like anything my wife has asked her, except for this one crab dish. And she only makes it for special occasions, and it's just something about the crab dish and the smell. Once you smell it, it just yeah, we asked for it for a special like my birthday. I'll be like, "Hey mom, can you make that crab for us?"
Yeah.
And that's just something that'll kind of bring me back, reminisce a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and also, I mean, any Asian grocery store, any Asian person will tell you if you walk into an Asian grocery store, it's gonna smell like fish. Just no matter what,
Yeah.
except for our store, we don't carry fish. But that's another thing. Like if you go to any Asian grocery store, Bay Area, LA, anywhere, it's gonna smell like fish. And that's also another thing. Like when we walk into like an Asian grocery store, I'll be like, oh yeah, we're in an Asian grocery store, so it's fishy.
Was it always like did when you're because you inherited the store from your parents?
Yeah.
Uh, was it a lot different back then?
Yes. Um, Inventory wise, the way they kept their books. We have a bookkeeper. I had everything on Excel spreadsheets, and we have apps to track everything. They were just writing everything down in a piece of paper and notebook every
Wow.
day. Oh, this is what we made. This is taxes. I'm like, this is your journaling system? They're like, yeah, look. I'm like, okay, we're gonna change this a little bit.
Yeah.
So we updated it. We got some technology involved and some apps and whatnot to make our little, QuickBooks and things of that nature, to make our life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Going back to the question about financial advice and then bridging it to the store, do you have any advice for other people? You've probably seen some of the challenges and things people face. Your parents probably faced some serious challenges over the years.
Yeah, saving, it's a lot about saving. It's We save for a long time. Just having a little bit of a nest egg to pay off the credit cards you use, because once you start getting we me and my wife were at that point where at one point in our life we had too much credit card debt like everybody else, and we were maxed out, and we were, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And we are just making the payments and making the just to survive. It wasn't getting us anywhere, and then finally we were able to, got some bonuses, upgraded my career, and then paid off all our debt. And then we realized that we can't carry credit card debt, because unless you can pay it off at the end of the month, don't buy the things that you just don't need.
Yeah.
So we're into savings. Financially, as a young person, we say you should have 3 to 6 months of your living expense, in your savings account. A little bit older, 6 to 12, just depending on your situation, of course. So I say saving is important, and not buying the latest shoes and the latest trends and things of that, and just trying to actually save for a house eventually, because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that was our main goal. Our main goal was to finally purchase a home, and it took us a lot of years of saving, and we're able to do it a few years ago. But yeah, it was a lot. It was hard. It was very hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Your parents still live in Slow, right?
They do. They bought a house when I was 16 years old. We used to move around town when I was little. Wherever I went to school, they would kind of move to that neighborhood so they could kind of just make it easier for them to drop me off and get to and from school. And then my parents are the most frugal people in the entire world. Like, they probably have ate out maybe once on their own. The only time they eat out is when me and my sister bring them out. They went on one vacation and worked 363 days a year, and would take Christmas and like the day after off. And we'd usually go to San Francisco for that little vacation.
Yeah.
And they would never buy new clothes. They would never, we'd eat rice. Mom would make food every single night. And they were just frugal, 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 but they were able to buy a house. And they still have that same mentality now, which is kind of funny. So when we do order pizza, let's say, they're like, "You guys are wasting money. Like, don't order pizza. You guys should be cooking." And it's okay, mom. Once
Yeah.
every few weeks, it's okay to order pizza and spend $50 on a pizza, or two pizzas.
Yeah.
But in their eyes, it's like, whoa, you guys are spending $50. It's
Yeah.
so
I know I heard a story about a guy he'd invested over his entire life in blue chip stocks and Pepsi and stocks like that. And he, I can't remember the exact number. I'm sure somebody will look it up and drop it in the comments and correct me, but um, he was a multimillionaire by the time he was in his 70s, ready to retire. And he still went to the same cheap diner every day. He got the same black cup of coffee, got the cheapest thing on the menu. Those habits are just built in at that point,
I
right?
agree. I don't think you're changing overnight. I mean,
Yeah,
30 years of doing the same thing. It's not like, oh, okay, all of a sudden we own a house.
yeah,
Let's go splurge and start eating out every day. Yeah, I think your mentality stays the same, and you're just,
yeah. So how would that, I mean, so we talked about your dream, how you define success for yourself, at least at that age where you were wanting to have a corner office, be able to kind of say to your family, look, I did this thing, right?
yeah.
I'm sure it felt good to buy the shop off your parents and keep that legacy going as well. What what does success mean to you? Like, how do you feel you could look at your life in the next 10 years or even now and you feel successful if you just did these three things?
It's funny. If you would have asked me that 20 years ago, I had numerical benchmarks for myself, make 100,000 at age, 30. I want to buy a house before I was age 4. There's certain numerical markers. As I get older now and having kids, it's changed. My success now is having my kids be good people. And yeah, we want them to be successful so they don't have to struggle in life and think, but I just want them to be good people. Grow up to be solid human beings and to have that family bond I think is success for me. Um, as I get older, I now appreciate my mom and dad a lot more, and I appreciate what they had to go through. And I didn't really realize it when I was young because we're all young and dumb. And now being a father and seeing my, 13-year-old, almost 14-year-old, and 8-year-old, almost 9, you start judging success not by numerically. It's almost by experiences and life events now. Um, People, like I've met some of the most authentic, best, closest people now in my life that I call, my best friends and uncles and through Paragon. And I feel like that's success for me. Like now I don't yeah, we own a house, which was something, trust me, financially we always dream about, right? That's our goal in our life was to own our home for me and my wife, and we saved for endless amounts of years. But now I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, that's great, and we wanna stay there," but I don't look at success as a numerical or financial number. Now it's not like, "Oh, I wanna have, X amount in the bank," or "I wanna have blah, 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 blah." Now it's, I wanna enjoy the time I have with my kids while they're in my house, enjoy the relationships I have with you, with, Jeremy, Brad, just people, Anthony, just people at the gym, and you start growing and you start sharing experiences with them. And to me, life experiences and memories are much more important now than the numbers and everything I thought 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So success to me, I guess, is raising my kids right and having being happy in the moment and just enjoying the journey and not worrying about the end of the road, just enjoying it. Just, we're gonna enjoy this ride together.
Yeah.
So I
So
think that's what success means to me now.
cool. Yeah, that's a great answer. What would you say to your younger self, right? We talked a little bit about stuff that, you went through. There's no other like way to sugarcoat it, but kids being mean, kids
Yeah.
saying racist stuff or treating you differently than other kids. And you went through periods of your life where you had some that you struggled with anger towards either yourself or other people.
Wanted to
Um,
fit in. Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't want to be Asian. Like I wore blue contacts. I wanted to fit in. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah. Um,
and that's, I mean, honestly, that's got to be a unfortunate reality that many Asian kids face in America, right? They want to blend in to society. They don't want to, and maybe not everyone, but a lot of kids, they don't want to be
100%.
different.
I bleached my hair. Like I wanted to be part of, I wanted to be white, like like all my other friends. I didn't want to be Asian. I was kind of ashamed of it. Like that's why I didn't even ask my parents about their history and back. I was more ashamed than proud. What I'm happy about is you bringing that back to success. Now my kids are very proud that they are half, or they're a quarter Chinese, a quarter Cambodian, and my wife's Mexican. So they're mixed, but they're very proud to be Asian and Mexican. And I think that to me is so much more powerful than anything else in the because that makes me so happy because like I said, I was kind of ashamed growing up. I wanted to fit in with everybody else. It was hard at points. And maybe that's why I became so angry later on in my life because of, what I was maybe put through growing up. And maybe that's why I became a little bit more of a pissed Pete for years. And I was pretty angry, dude. I mean, I got in fights. yeah, it was a dark time. But I think maybe that had, actually talking about it, that probably had a lot to do with it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Um,
What would you say helped you to break through that?
I don't know. Um, I'm not sure. I think it was my wife, to tell you the truth, because she was really the turning point in my life. I was very angry. I didn't listen to people. I kind of did what, like, people would be like, Pete does what Pete does, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, fucking, I'm gonna do what I do. I don't really care. And when she came in my life, I kind of, even at first, like, she told me her sisters would be like, "Why are you with him? He's such a jerk. But she saw me, like, I guess she saw my side. She saw the soft side of me, and she realized that I was just, I don't know, maybe I was just going through a dark time in my life, and God was like, "Hey, you need to be there for him and turn his life around." And I just feel like when she came in, my life really turned around. Like, it was going down a bad path, and it actually turned out pretty good in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, today, do you still struggle with any of that stuff? Do you feel like you've kind of worked through it?
I feel like I worked through it a lot. I used to have a really bad temper and just used to, like, snap. Now I'm learning to kind, as you get older, you learn not to get so worked about the little things. And my dad told me a couple years ago, he was just like, Pete, you can't get arrested nowadays. You got too much to lose. He was like, back at 20 years ago, yeah, you're a young and dumb kid. That's fine. He's like, now you got so much to lose. So why even get mad over, somebody cutting you? He was just making an example, like somebody cutting you off or something. It's not even worth it. So as I mature and get older, I'm learning and trying to be a little bit more of a better role model for my kids too, because
Yeah,
of course the kids see everything too. So definitely gotten better. Definitely have become more calm and nicer. I
yeah,
feel.
yeah. I think having that outward perspective of, especially when you have kids, you're probably thinking something like, if I don't learn how to deal with this inside of me, then how can I not pass that on to someone else? Right.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Or if I'm so angry, that's gonna get passed on.
yeah,
Or if you're certain attitudes and actions, they watch everything, so they absorb a lot of the information. So
yeah, definitely. All right, Pete, I think I mean, we got to wrap up soon, but when, I mean, every interaction I've ever had with you, you've been super positive, super happy, super smiley. I've never met the old Pete that you've described
he's
to me.
gone. He's gone.
Even with you in jiu-jitsu, I don't think, I mean, maybe it just takes more to coax it out of you, but yeah, man, I think you seem to have a very positive outlook on life. You your positivity is infectious. Like, you being so happy and positive, I feel like brings out that in other people around you.
Thank you.
And that's why I was excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, brother.
So,
Thank you.
if is there anything else, any words of wisdom you want to leave us with before you go?
No, I appreciate you having me. And I'm a big thing with energy too. So I feel like energy we all have our energy. So when it's positive energy, it draws more positive energy.
Yeah.
So I feel like I love it, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a wonder. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Making Mentors podcast. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please drop a like, comment, or follow on your favorite platform. And thank you so much for following my journey and supporting me, and all those who are willing to share their stories on this channel. Until next time, cheers.